Welcome to Love the Rhone You're With. I'm Kirsten and I'd like to invite you to join me as I learn about the Rhone region of France through wine. Today I'm going to be talking about Cote Rotie. It's the northernmost appellation in the Rhone Valley and it's located on the western bank of the Rhone River. Its name, Cote Rotie, literally translates to roasted hillside. So we're going to be talking about that in just a moment. Wine growers here are only permitted to make wine from Syrah and can only use they're allowed to use up to 20% Viognier. Now, the steep vineyards are ideal for Syrah because it allows the grapes to bask in the sun, and getting ample sun exposure enables them to reach their peak ripeness. Steep vineyards also lend themselves to cool breezes, which aid in preserving acidity. In Cote Rotie, some vineyards are so steep and so narrow that they can't use machinery, so they're cultivated entirely by hand. So a lot of love goes into harvesting the grapes and making wine from those particular vineyards. But in Cote Rotie, there are also vineyards that are planted above the hillsides on a level plateau. And these are considered a little less desirable based on the type of sun exposure. They don't get ideal sun exposure, and the soil profiles are also different. There are two famous hillsides in Cote Rotie. There's Cote Brune and Cote Blonde, and legend has it that an aristocratic feudal lord named him after his two daughters, one brunette and one blonde. Cote Brune wines tend to be more tannic and bold, and this is primarily due to their clay and iron-based soil. Whereas Cote Blonde wines are a little more elegant and acidic, and this is due to their limestone, sandy, and rocky soil. I was lucky enough to find a few different wines from Cote Rotie, one from the hillside of Cote Brune, one from the hillside of Cote Blonde, and one that's a blend of both, and I'm excited to try them. So grab a glass and let's taste. All right, so let's get tasting. So in front of me, I have 3 different bottles of wine from Cote Rotie. I have a Cote Blonde, Cote Brune, and a Cote Brune et Blonde. Let's get started with the Cote Blonde. So this guy right here is a 2016. Right off the bat, few notes that I'm getting in the nose are a lot of minerality. It kind of smells like if you walk outside after it's been raining, it smells like that, like wet rock, just wet earth. I'm getting a little bit of a mustiness, which for me is very defining for old world wines. I can smell some dark cherries, maybe dark chocolate. Definitely some cured meat in there, like this salty brininess to it. Ooh. Wow. This one on the palate is very acidic for me. So I would consider this guy maybe medium plus to high acidity. Really nice tannins in there as well, but the acidity is what's making my mouth water. Kind of makes me want to go back and drink some more, which maybe they do that on purpose. I don't know. All right, let's move on to the next one. Next one is Cote Brune. That's this guy right here. It's a 2017. This one right off the bat has a little bit of a sweeter nose for me. I'm getting a little bit of blackberries, but also a little bit of a tartness in the nose too. Maybe some cardamom, other baking spices. Definitely getting some pepper in the nose on this one. Maybe some grilled mushroom, as well as a smokiness on this one too. Whoa. This one is a lot more tannic and bold than the Cote Blonde, which based on the soil profile, so Cote Blonde has soil profiles of limestone, sand, and a rocky based soil. And I can definitely tell that in the palate. It has kind of this like, almost like a chalky texture, but not in an off-putting way. Whereas Cote Brune has a clay and iron-based soil. So they tend to be more tannic and bold and richer and darker in color. And I'm definitely seeing that. It might be hard to see on video, but I can definitely tell a difference as far as the color and richness of the wine between the blonde as well, between like the blonde and the brune. Lastly, so this guy is the Côte Brunette Blonde. So it's a combination of the two hillsides in Cote Rotie. It is a 2016. I'm getting that old world nose to it, that kind of mustiness. Getting some blackberries as well on the nose. This one actually smells a little bit like flat soda or flat cola. So if you've ever smelled a soda that's ever been open for a little while and you realize that it's not fresh, that's what I'm getting. Some baking spices on this one too. Maybe a little bit of fennel. Wow, that is really nice. So this one, in my personal opinion, for my palate, this one feels a little bit more balanced than either of these two. I love each of these for very different reasons. I mean, the first one, the Côte Blonde, has that, like, it's like an acid bomb. And so if I'm eating something really fatty like carnitas tacos or duck confit, I would want something that's really acidic like Côte Blonde. The middle one, so the Côte Brune, it's so tannic, it's drying my mouth out, but I love that. I love a really big, bold red, and I would say if I was having like a grilled steak or some really meaty, delicious, maybe even some lamb, that's what I would pair this one with. The last one for me is really a testament to the two hillsides, the Côte Brune and the Côte Blonde, because it's a combination of both. And sometimes the magic happens when you put things together. And while they're both great on their own, I think the blend of the two is showcasing the acidity that the blonde has to offer with the tannins that the brune has to offer. I'm sure that's what they were going for, but I can definitely taste it. And I would love, if I could drink this every day, I would. And I would say pizza and wine is definitely one of my favorite pairings. And I think that this is the perfect pizza wine. Of course, you could pair it with something else. You could pair it with any of the other foods that I mentioned or other things that I'm not thinking of. But all in all, this is a really great lineup for Cote Rotie. And I think that it's pretty representative of what they've got over there. Cheers.